everyone. Welcome to another episode. Now we call our club Altus Millionaire Club. So, welcome AMC Club Live. Today we have Dr. Maria Nagy. I'll let Dr. Maria Nagy to introduce herself first.
Hi, all. My name is Dr. Maria Nagy. I am a PhD microbiologist. I have a biotech company or a biotech startup called Quorum X Diagnostics, and I have two communities on Skool, one called Startup Mentor and the other one called Science Nerd. Thank you
Thanks.
for having me.
You're welcome. Definitely. We want to feature our members, all the other school community owners, to be on our episode. So let me start with your school community. Startup mentor, what triggers you to set this one up? And what did you bring to help the startup ecosystem?
So when I was fundraising for my startup, there were a lot of things I didn't know and I had to stumble through. I was able to raise over 700,000 for my startup, and within that process I learned a lot of lessons. And it was only because I at one point got a mentor and I was in a mastermind that I was figured out how to fundraise. And so now that I'm on the other side of that, I'm trying to bring that knowledge, all the hard lessons that I learned during that process, over to other new founders so that they have an easier journey.
That's great. So, just a side note, I think a lot of people think they don't need money, but when you, especially this kind of startup in the biotech, chemistry, maybe manufacturing, we probably need a good bit injection of the capital to really get things going, right? We're not talking about you don't need inventory, you don't need this, you can do a digital startup. But for your experience, you mentioned you raised 700K. What are the hard lessons? What kind of high level you want to give to the audience if they just have a startup and they want to raise the capital?
So you want to join a community so that you're not doing it by yourself. It's not the things you don't know, it's the things you don't know, right?
Mhm. Yes.
There's a lot of things you can learn online and on YouTube, and that's great. You should always go to YouTube University first. But joining a startup, being around other founders that are having difficulties and challenges just like yourself, makes the journey a bit easier. And if you're wanting to raise funds, it's about the story that you tell. You have to be a good storyteller. It's about the story that you tell and really know your numbers
Mhm.
and approach the correct investors. When I started out, I was clueless. I had a deck, but it was terrible. I was running around pitching to real estate investors when I was a biotech founder. I was doing all kinds of crazy things because I didn't know what I was doing. But it is a process, and then you learn. And then getting around other people that have been successful, and you say, oh, they can do it, I can do it. And then that's how you really progress ahead.
That's great. All the good advice. A very quick question. Just say I have an idea. It's just say I have science background. Actually, I do. I was QC chemist the first 8 years. Just say I have some idea. I want to really take some action. What's the stage? When should I start approaching some of the venture capital, start raising money? Can you illustrate some step by step this thinking process and also the practical perspective?
Right. So you really want to make sure that you can find a customer and customers, and you need to prove that to your audience or to the investor. So whether you're doing letters of intent or you're doing a waiting list or you're interviewing potential customers, you really have to find the customer even before you build the product. So Everyone wants to jump into the lab or to on the computer and they want to build their product. If I had a prototype, whatever, everyone's going to line up and buy it. No, you have to prove that there is somebody that wants to buy it. And there's many different ways of proving that you have an audience or potential customers. So I think that's the first step. I think that's what people miss because that's not the exciting step. The exciting step is building it, but you have to find the customer first.
Yes, people are saying you could have the perfect product, but still you need to have the market. People can buy your product, then you'll have a real company.
Yes, you have to find the customers first.
Definitely. So in your school community, talk about what people can learn if I'm a startup founder. What can I learn inside your school community?
Inside the classrooms, I have a number of different lectures and courses on there, the basics of how to put your deck together. If you need to write a provisional patent, I've got some basic information around that. If you need to how to fundraise, how it has my journey in there of how I raised money. And then it just has different lectures in there. We also have weekly calls. So if you have any questions as you're building your deck or going through this journey, you can either post a question and I'll answer it immediately. I'm paying attention all the time. Or somebody in the group will answer, or you can come to our weekly calls and get your questions answered. Yeah. And then I also have a mastermind of people that are actually fundraising. You already have your deck together and you're actively calling or reaching out to investors because there's some strategy around that. So I have a special mastermind group specifically for people that are ready for that.
That's great. So I think people will come to you to really learn and get the preparation to do the early funding for their startup, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
That's great. Talking about mistakes, right? We all it's something new, right? For all the startups, you're creating something which never exists before. So, any tips or anything you could think about avoiding some of the mistakes?
Everyone tells you this, but as a founder, I know I was stubborn and so I can imagine other founders. It's going to cost twice as much and it's going to take twice as long than you originally planned because there's always hidden costs and things like this, hidden problems. So when you're fundraising, you want to make sure to ask for enough to give yourself some wiggle room so that when things fail, which they will, that you can bounce back and keep going.
Yeah, I think the mindset, right? It's super important when you're facing all the obstacles, roading blocks, and difficulties. How can you just keep moving, keep pushing?
Oh, absolutely. That's another topic that I was actually talking to a founder about today. They said, we've pitched a couple of times and they keep saying that once I get traction, once I get the prototype built, once I get this built, once I get that built, and they were very frustrated with the process. And it's no, investors will always say things like that to you, and anything other than a yes is a no, and that's okay. That's not representative of you. And you have to just be around founders to understand, hey, this is a tough road. You're going to get a lot of no's, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have a good product or a good idea or that you can succeed. You just know that you're going to have to pitch way more than you think you do. And you have to just have the grit to keep going to
Like,
get that success.
mhm. I'm sure you overcome a lot of the obstacles. Any of the daily habit or routines you're doing to help you stay resilient and just say, okay, I know my idea will work. I want this startup to be really an actual product eventually to the market. Any tips or routines you're doing when you're facing those difficulties?
You definitely want to earmark, especially when you're initially starting off and you're not like going into the office. Most of the time you're working from home or something like this. You want to
Mhm.
make sure that you have hours earmarked. This is my startup time, that you're actually going to focus on that startup, regardless of what part of it you're working on. And then just make progress, keep making incremental bits of progress. And if you're unhappy with something, just say, okay, I didn't like this. How can I make it better? How can I change? Think of it as a learning situation. Everything is a little experiment. Did it work? It didn't work. Try something different. How am I going to tweak it and make it better?
All good tips. You have two school communities, right? We'll link both. It's a separate school community, right? All in one school community.
No, they're two
Your
separate
case.
ones.
But your mastermind is in your founder school. No?
The mastermind, the one that's specifically the high intensity fundraisers mastermind is inside Startup Mentor. So there's a free level and then there's the premium level inside of that community.
Okay. What about the other school community you mentioned?
Oh, that one is just for fun. That's for science nerds. It's just science exchange. I've got, I think, 120 people in there. I would say 90 of them are PhDs. And we're just
Okay.
goofing off and talking about science. And I really wanted community where I was talking to other scientists about science. And this created that space where you have a whole myriad of different scientists with different backgrounds. And yes, we're goofing off, but we're also like, there's nuggets of knowledge within that
Nerd.
goofing off where
Yeah.
you're like, oh, wow, I didn't know that aspect of string theory, or we're talking about A1 and as a 3-1 Atlas right now, that
I
the
don't even know what that is.
there's a comet floating through the skies
Oh,
right
okay.
now, and everyone's worried that it might be alien. We have our fun around that, and then we talk about the nitty-gritty science around it as well.
Okay. That's nice. A little community for all the scientists to vent out and network.
I guess I'm gonna have to join your community because I wanna be a millionaire too.
Yes, definitely. Feel free to join. Yes, definitely. So if people want to really learn how to, they can start, they have to have the idea first, right? And then they will go find the funding. Where can people find you other than the school communities?
I have LinkedIn, and then I have a YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is called Adventures of a Startup Founder. You're welcome to check those out. Connect with me on LinkedIn as well. I post articles about fundraising and assessments about different founders and their success and how they became successful.
Definitely. We'll put the link of Dr. Nally's social media handle, the two school communities, especially you as scientists. Feel free to join that science nerds community and find some like-minded people to hang out with. Any last word you want to share with our audience?
Just that this has been wonderful, and I appreciate you giving me the time to have this conversation with you.
Okay, thank you for coming in. We'll definitely put your contact information. So for anyone who are interested, who are in that journey, then they want to start doing the fundraising for their startup, you know where to go now. Go talk to Dr. Nally and then join her school communities.
Thank you.
Okay,
Appreciate it.
thank you. Appreciate you come on to Altus Millionaire Live. We'll bring some like-minded professionals to come and talk to you about their expertise, what they are doing, and hopefully you can find some similarities or some group you want to join. We'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.